Hello and welcome to another video by Perfect Scores. This is Preetinder Kaur and we are covering 11th grade biology. And right now what we are doing is the physiology of plants. We've already covered a few important organs. We've covered the leaf, the root, the stem, and also the flower. So this video is going to be focusing on the fruit and also the two kinds of seeds that are there, that is a dicot seed and the monocot seed. And after that, if time permits, we are going to cover a few important families in this same video as well. So I'll go ahead and start giving information on the fruit. So fruit is nothing but it's the mature or ripened ovary. So in a simple layman's definition, that's a mature or a ripened ovary. And you might be knowing from the previous video that ovary is part of the female reproductive organ of a plant and it's located in the flower. Now sometimes the fruit is also formed without the fertilization of the ovary. In that case it's called a parthenocarpic fruit, in which case there is no fertilization and the fruit is made just like that, a parthenocarpic fruit. Now apart from that, generally the fruit, it has two parts. It is made up of the wall of the fruit, which is known as the pericarp, and it is made up of seeds. Now the pericarp, it can either be dry or it can be fleshy. Usually when it's fleshy, it's used by humans as food. Now this pericarp, if it is fleshy, the pericarp will be further divided into three parts. The outer part will be called the epicarp. The middle part will be known as the mesocarp, and the inner part is known as the endocarp. So in case of fleshy fruits with the fleshy wall, the pericarp is further divided into these three parts. Now it's there in all fruits, but a special mention needs to be given to two fruits, which is mango and coconut. Now both of these are known as drupes. They are a little different from the normal average fruit. Now what happens in mango is that the mesocarp and the endocarp, now the mesocarp becomes the fleshy edible part and the endocarp is the stony central part, and the outer epicarp is the covering, the peel of the mango. And in case of coconut, the mesocarp is fibrous. And both of them, they're actually formed from monocarpillary and superior ovaries. So let me mention it here. So that is there. They are both formed from monocarpillary superior ovaries. That means only one carpel per flower, and the superior is and this ovary is superior. That means in position it is above the other parts of the flower, and it is one-seeded, only one seed. So that is all you need to know about the different parts of a fruit. The next important thing you need to know is the seed. What is the seed? Now seed is divided into two parts. One is the embryo, that is the main part, and other one is just a cover. So that is known as a seed coat. Now this part of the embryo, it is further made up of three parts. The embryo is first of all made up of the radicle, which is going to give rise to the root later on. It is made up of the embryonal axis, and it is made up of cotyledons. Now cotyledons, again, they are of two types. If only one cotyledon is there, the plant is known as a monocot. Now, if you remember in leaves when we talked about venation, we talked that parallel venation is present in monocots. They just have one seed in the plant. And if there are two cotyledons, the plant will be known as a dicot, and the leaves, they have a network kind of reticulate venation. Right, so that is the difference in terms of the leaves, but the important thing is how are the structures different. So what we are going to do now is the structure of a dicot seed. So I'll take a new slide. So here is what we are doing right now, the structure of a dicot seed. Now the dicot seed has an outermost covering just like other seeds, which is called a seed coat. In this, the seed coat is divided into two parts. The outer part is known as the testa, and the inner part of the seed coat is known as the tegmen. Now there is one more thing known as hilum. It is like a scar that is there on the seed coat. And this is through which the developing seeds are attached to the fruit. The developing seeds attached to the fruit. I'll draw an example. For example, take a black gram. The seed will look more or less like this. Here is where you will find that scar. This is the hilum. Okay, and this covering, that is known as the seed coat, the hilum. And above the hilum, there is a pore-like structure that's called the micropyle. So the hilum and micropyle are basically in the same location. It's a pore-like structure. Now, if you take the example, if you take the diagram of a seed that is opened up, you will find this cross-like structure separating. If you try to open, let's say, seeds of an almond, you'll find this white colored thing in the middle, or even if you open up a black gram, you'll be able to notice this. So this topmost area is what is going to give rise to the shoot later. So this is known as the plumule. And this, as I told you earlier, that is the radicle, which is supposed to give rise to the root. Now, in some kinds of dicot seeds, there is an additional substance known as the endosperm. Now, this endosperm is the result of double fertilization. Means fertilization 2 times. And this is used in case of tissues. It becomes a tissue that stores food. So the basic purpose is food storage, and the best example of this is castor seeds. It's a huge bulky thing, and that's why it's used for food storage, and it is the result of double fertilization. So that was all that you need to know about the dicot seed. The next thing you need to know is about the monocot seed. So the monocot seed is generally endospermic. That means it's used to store lots of food. So that's why I'm saying generally, because there might be some exceptions. And they also have an eleuron layer. This is basically a protein layer that is used to separate the embryo. And if you draw a structure, let's suppose this is the inner embryo. And then outside the embryo, you have another layer. And then there's another layer of the endosperm. And then another layer of the seed coat. So this is how it looks like. And this part, where I'm drawing these lines over here, diagonal lines, this is the endosperm. Now if you take another section, the leaf, the monocot seed is going to have this appearance. So I'm going to draw this structure in a little more detail. Let's suppose this is the seed, and obviously this will become the seed coat. Now these two structures are the different parts. Now this area, the upper area that you can see, that has a layer of the aileron. So if I draw it like this, the part that has these lines, this entire layer is the aileron layer. So let me put it this way, and the diagrams are a little messy, but I hope you're able to understand. This is the aileron layer, and this inside is what is the endosperm. Then there are a few markings in the lower layer, and they have their own names. The upper one is known as scutellum. The next one is called the coluptile. This one is the plumule. It's not very clear in this diagram, but over here it's clear. This one is the radicle. And the last one, the bottom part, and remember they are jointed, this is the coleorhiza. Alright, so that is the structure of a monocot seed. Now the next thing that we need to cover in this video is how are the typical flowering plants described. Now there are some indicators, so I'm going to cover that under the semi-technical descriptions of typical flowering plants. There are lots of keywords that are used, and there are two parts of this. One is known as the floral formula, and one is known as the floral diagram. Now in the formula, just like you have formulas in chemistry, you use different symbols. For example, N for nitrogen, O for oxygen, like that. So you need to take care of a few symbols in this case as well. So these are the main symbols that are used in any floral formula. So B basically stands for bracteate. K stands for the description of the calyx. C stands for the description of the corolla. P stands for the description of the perianth. A is for the androecium. G is for the gynoecium. And if G is underlined, it means it's a superior ovary. That means it's above everything else. And if there's a bar above G, that means it's an inferior ovary. Means everything is above G, above the ovary. This symbol over here represents the male organ. That let's suppose this flower has only the male anthers or the stamens. This represents the female. The next is for a bisexual flower that has both the reproductive organs. This is for actinomorphic. And the next one is for zygomorphic. I'll give you an example of a formula. So let's suppose this is the example. So that tells you that the plant is definitely actinomorphic, and it is also having both the sexual organs, the male and the female. Now sometimes there is fusion between the parts of the plant, and that is done and that is shown by putting them in a bracket, like in this case. That means if there are two ovaries, they will be fused together. That's why we are putting the brackets. And sometimes when they are stuck to each other, when they are like adhering to each other, that is shown by a line drawn above the symbols of the floral plants. So let's suppose C is there and you put a line, it means they are joined to each other. Now the floral diagram is giving information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement, and the relationship that they have with each other. So if you want to draw a diagram, that is a floral diagram, I'll show you how it is drawn. You are going to start with the ovary in the middle. So we know that there are two ovaries and they are fused together. So we are going to make it like this and cover it like this. Next thing we know is about the anthers. Can you notice 2 plus 4? That means we are always going to start from the outer one, that is 2 over here. So outside there are 2, and inside that there's another layer of 4 stamens inside. So we're going to draw. So these are the innermost ones, and then we draw the outermost one. So I hope you can relate to this 2 plus 4 now. Now it's time to draw the corolla and the calyx. And one thing you'll observe is that this 4 is drawn without any kind of plus or minus sign. That means all of the 4 petals are going to be arranged without overlapping each other. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now remember, this diagram is supposed to be like a complete circle, but because of lack of space, I'm drawing it a little elongated. So this takes care of the corolla. Now one more thing you'll observe is this calyx. 2 plus 2, that means 2 inside and 2 outside. So this is how it's done. The petals are there, there are 4, no overlapping, but in the calyx there is overlapping. So this one and this one are inner, and this one and this one are the outer one. So that is how you can represent using a floral diagram as well as using a floral formula. So I hope this was quite clear. You can practice with a few different kinds of species and practice making these formulae. And the next thing that we have to do is information about a few common families that we'll be doing. So right now we are going to be doing 3 important families in this video. And what we are going to look at is the vegetative characteristics and the floral characteristics. So the family that we are about to do first is known as the Fabaceae family. And this was also known as the Papilionoideae family, and it's a subfamily of legumes, of the family of legumes, and it's found all over the world. So this is how we'll be dividing the characteristics into vegetative characteristics and the floral characteristics. And these are the subcategories which we'll be using to describe the family. In the vegetative characteristics, we want to know more about the stem and the leaves. And in the floral characteristics, we want to know more about the inflorescence, that is the arrangement, the flower, the calyx, the corolla, the androecium, gynoecium, the fruit, and also the floral formula. And apart from that, we'll also be doing the economic importance that they contain. So coming to this family, that is the subfamily of legumes, the first thing you need to know, they are found all over the world and usually consists of trees, shrubs, herbs, and roots are there with root nodules. Coming to the stem, stem is either erect or it is a climber stem. The leaves are alternate. They are pinnately compound, or they can also be simple. The leaf base is pulvinate. And the venation is reticulate because it's a dicot. Coming to the floral characteristics, inflorescence is racemose. The flower is bisexual, zygomorphic. The calyx, it has 5 sepals, gemosepalous, and the estivation is valvate or imbricate. So I'm writing in short. Valvate or imbricate. Coming to the corolla, now lots of information to have under the corolla. 5 petals, so let me use short forms. It is polypetalous, papilionaceous, that gives its name, and it has a posterior standard, 2 lateral wings, and 2 that give a keel. So you know the description of the flower, and that keel encloses the stamens and the pistil. The estivation is vexillary. That means the order. And then coming to the androecium, 10, diadelphous, that means in bunches of 2. And The anther is dithecous. That means two pollen sacs are there. Dithecous. Let me correct this. Okay, so dithecous. The gynoecium is having a superior ovary. So let me just use this symbol. And it's monocarpellary. That means single carpel. Unilocular with many ovules and a single style. Now coming to the floral formula, which is coming to the fruit first, legume, and they have seeds, one to many, non-endospermic. Coming to the floral formula, zygomorphic, bisexual, 5 sepals joined together. In the corolla, you have 5 petals, but they're in the form of one outer one covering the 2 wings, and the 2 inside, that means the keel, that is joined, so that is why it's given in brackets. The androecium, 9 of them joined plus 1, and the ovary is a superior ovary, only one of it is there. So that is the floral formula, and if you want to draw the diagram, we can draw the diagram as well. But before that, the economic importance. First of all, most of the plants belonging to this family are sources of pulses. And for example, gram or soya bean, even edible oil. For example, groundnut, dye. That means the indigo plant is part of this family. Fibers, for example, sun hemp, fodder, and even ornamentals, for example, sweet pea, and medicine as well. So that is the economic importance, and I'll go ahead and draw the floral diagram for this particular family. So this, as you can see, is the central ovary, and around it we have arranged the anthers, a group of 9 anthers and then one single one alone. And let's go ahead and arrange the petals now. So we know there is an outermost one, and beneath that you have 2 more, and under them you have 2 that are fused together. So that takes care of the petals. And coming to the sepals, I won't be drawing at this part. So you can draw like this, like a pentagon, and these are the sepals. Right, so that takes care of the floral diagram. I hope it's clear enough. You can use different colors to make it better, but this is what the floral diagram is going to look like. So the next family that we have to do after Fabaceae is the family Solanaceae, that is commonly known as the potato family. Now this family is distributed in the tropics, the subtropics, and even the temperate zones. So coming to the vegetative characteristics, usually they are herbs, shrubs, and very rarely but small trees. The stem is herbaceous. Very rarely it is woody, and it is aerial, that means in the air, and it's erect, cylindrical, branched, and solid. It's not hollow like bamboo, it's completely solid. Coming to the root and the leaves. So the leaves are typically alternate, simple. Rarely they can be pinnately compound as well, but they are exstipulate, and the venation is reticulate. That means there's a network of veins. Coming to the floral characteristics now. So let me list down these features. And coming to inflorescence, it's solitary, can be axillary or cymose. Coming to the flower, it's bisexual and actinomorphic. And the calyx, 5 sepals. They are united and the estivation is valvate. The corolla has 5 petals, again united and valvate estivation in this case as well. The androecium has 5 stamens that are epipetalous. The gynoecium is bicarpellary, that means 2 carpels. Syncarpous, that means they are joined. Superior ovary, bilocular. Placenta is swollen with many ovules. The fruits are in the form of a berry or a capsule. Seeds are many. And it also has the endosperm, so endospermous. Coming to the floral formula, actinomorphic, bisexual, 5 sepals joined, 5 carpels, fused together with the 5 anthers, superior ovary, 2 of them. So that is the floral formula. And let's go ahead and draw the floral diagram now. So this is the innermost structure of the ovary, and you can draw many ovules here arranged like this. Outside of this you have 5 anthers. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and they're fused together with the corolla. So you can draw their stems like this in the 5 directions. So that is the layer of petals around these 5 stamen. And this is the outer layer of the sepals. So a little different diagram, but I'm sure you'll be able to make it better. And that is the floral diagram. And one last thing before we go to the next family, that is the economic importance. Now, as I told you in the beginning, it's known as the potato family. So many plants of this family are source of food for us humans. For example, the potato, the tomato, the brinjal, even spices such as chili, medicines such as belladonna, some fumigatory substances like tobacco, and even ornamentals such as the petunia plant. So that is all that you need to know about this family. And the next important family, the next and the last family that we have to do is the lily family, Liliaceae. So I've already put down the characteristics, and usually most of the plants in this family are monocotyledonous plants and they're found everywhere. The vegetative characteristics are that they are perennial herbs, herb-like plants, and they have underground bulbs or corms or rhizomes. Bulbs or corms or rhizomes. The leaves in this case are mostly basal and they are arranged alternatively, linear, and they are exstipulate. And as I told you, monocot, so they will have parallel venation. Coming to the inflorescence, solitary or cymose, and often unbellied clusters are there. Coming to the flower, it's bisexual actinomorphic. And the perianth has 6 tepals. So it's a mixture of the petals and the sepals, tepals, 6 of them. That means 3 plus 3, united to form a tube, and they have valvate estivation. The androecium has 6 stamens, 3 plus 3, epipetalous. The gynoecium is tricarpellary, that means 3 carpels are there. Syncarpous, that means joint. The ovary is superior, trilocular with many ovules, and the placentation is exile. The fruit is capsule. Very rarely you can get a berry-like fruit as well. The seed is endospermous, that has lots of storage. And the floral formula, first of all, they are bracteate, they are actinomorphic, bisexual, and the anther is fused with the petals, though the anthers themselves are not joined, and it's a superior ovary, 3 of them joined together. So that is the formula, and lots of these plants are good ornamentals. For example, the tulip, or a source of medicine like aloe vera. Lots of vegetables like asparagus, and even colchicine, that is Colchicum autumnale, that is the name of the species. So let me go ahead and draw the floral diagram for this. It's a little complicated one. We start with the ovary in the middle. So let's suppose these are the ovules in it. Now we have 6 anthers. So we've drawn the 6 anthers, and remember their arrangement, one above the other. So 3 innermost and 3 outermost, like this. 3 inner and 3 outer. So now you can draw the stalks of the anthers as well, like this, because they're joined, and finally cover them like this. Like this. So that becomes the floral formula of this, and the symmetry is only in one axis, so that's why we draw a dot over there. So that is the floral formula, and that is all that you need to do in the Liliaceae family. And that is all that we'll be covering in this video. Thank you so much, and I hope it was useful for you.